So you're probably like me and you've had this experience where you're sitting there and you know that you're about to eat something that's maybe not on your plan, or maybe you're ready to skip your workout and you know this isn't a good idea and you know that the consequences down the road aren't in alignment with your goals, but you do it anyways. I mean, you overeat even though you know that it's not on your plan, or you skip your workout even though you know that it was on the schedule for today. Why do we do that kind of stuff? That's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I'm going to be talking to you all about how to get past that feeling and exactly what to do so you can start making better decisions. If we haven't met before, hi, my name is Tanessa Shears. I am a coach for women and I help them feel amazing in their bodies, feel confident, be able to make sustainable meal planning choices, and find a lifestyle in which they can drop the brain drama and eat in a way that makes them feel good about themselves. So that's what I'm here to share with you. And today we're talking all about how your brain prioritizes reward. So I want you to think about this. When let's use the example of sitting in front of an overeat, meaning you had planned maybe a salad and a chicken breast for dinner, but somebody brought over pizza and you're sitting there going, I was supposed to do this, but this would taste so good right now. And your brain goes into that spiral of, this would taste really good right now. I worked out today. It's fine. I don't really need to lose that much weight. I've worked so hard all week. I deserve this. I'm stressed out. I'll start again on Monday. We all have the same thoughts and we go through this. And here's the thing. Our brain knows that if we eat that pizza, we are going to experience a reward immediately. And that reward comes in the form of that blast of dopamine and neurotransmitters in the brain that excite all the pleasure centers. So your brain knows, if I eat that pizza, I'm going to feel amazing right now. And our brain also recognizes that there is a consequence on the back end. I'm going to feel bloated. I'm likely going to have a stomach ache. I'm moving further away from my goal. I'm breaking commitments with myself. But those consequences often show up a little bit down the road. Like, we might not notice the effect of our pizza right away. But it's those cumulative decisions which make the scale not budge, or which make your jeans not fit, or which make you, not gain strength or get faster in your runs or whatever you're working on, right? So the reward is immediate. Right? Eating the pizza feels good, but the consequence is delayed. And here's the thing. Our brain is really darn good at prioritizing short-term rewards over consequences. It places higher value on them. It tells you this is much more important, because you got to remember, a lot of our brain, especially our lower areas of our brain, is way back in caveman times, when all we had to think about was the now, was about, we need to find shelter, we need water, we need food, we need warmth, we need companionship, all immediate gratification. And that was what kept us alive. But we have so many technological conveniences now that are keeping us alive that we don't need to rely on that instant reward cycle to get by. So we're stuck eating pizza, but it's not serving our long-term results. So that is our primitive, our old brain that is saying, hey, these short-term rewards are vastly more important than those long-term consequences, even though in actuality, they might not be. So what ends up happening is, the better the short-term reward seems, usually the bigger consequence it has on the back end. Like, think about how our brain would respond to heroin. Big pleasure on the front end, big negative on the back end, right? Whereas something might be a bit more subtle with your pizza. Medium pleasure, medium consequence. And the same with workout. It might not seem so important, but the bigger the pleasure on the front end, the bigger the consequences on the back end. So I like to think of, when I'm making decisions of that, what the net pleasure or consequence is of a decision, okay? So I look at the amount of gratification instantly I get, and I weigh it out against the reward. So if you're looking at something like, let's just use our eating a pizza example. So we know that if I eat a pizza now, I am going to get pleasure now, but the net negative consequence is worse, because for me, the bloating, the stomach aches, the not reaching my goals, the breaking a promise with myself, that chatter in my head of what's wrong with me, why can't I stick to this, I'll never be able to do it. That negative consequence is a lot higher. So when you compare these out, you have a net negative consequence. So if the decisions you are making on a continual basis have a net negative consequence, your life is going to be moving away from the direction you want it to move. Now, there's a lot of things that have net negative consequences. Things like skipping your workouts, or overeating, or overindulging in shopping, or anytime you're almost overdoing something or doing something out of moderation, there's a net negative consequence with it. What we need to start doing is including more things in our life that have a net positive effect, a net positive pleasure. So these things are not naturally as attractive to us because they don't have as much bang for your buck on the front end. So like if you think about how your brain and how your taste buds and how your emotions experience eating pizza, boom, that feels really good in the moment, but the negative consequence is also bigger, so you get a net negative. But I'm going to give you an example of some things that have a net positive effect. So this is something like going for a walk. You're not going to get the intensity of a pizza, but it feels good to move your body and, to get out in nature and move and breathe some fresh air. So that has a smaller positive effect with a very minimal, if any, negative effect. So it has a net positive effect. It is a subtle hit of well-being. And it is when you start accumulating those little bursts of well-being through your life and you start including more things that have that net positive effect on your life, that is when you get to start to experience well-being. And it is just this subtle state of contentment and joy and satisfaction with your life. So other things that have net positive effects are things like taking a bubble bath, meaning it's not a crazy rush, but it's enjoyable. It just feels good. It's that subtle hit of well-being. Another one, eating a salad. Because I know for me, when I eat a salad, there's a thought that goes through my head, and that thought says, you're taking care of yourself. Oh, this is so healthy. I mean, do you get that? Do you ever get that? Like, this is so healthy. So I love that feeling when I get that. And that is well-being for me. So, if I have a day where I drink a lot of water and I eat a salad and I go for a walk and I don't skip my workouts and I get 8 hours of sleep, yes, it's not as riveting as if I were to be overeating pizza and ice cream all day long. However, I don't have a net negative consequence and I have a steady stream of well-being. And that is so important. And when you start realizing that is at play and you start looking at your decisions that way, you can make more educated choices. So we know if we're looking at that reward versus the consequence and that delayed effect in there, what we need to start understanding is that our brain is motivated by wins. We're seeking wins. So we need to start getting more experiences in our life. And then the other thing that comes up is the first couple times you start to say no to that immediate gratification because you want that longer term payoff, you want that net positive pleasure, you want that well-being. You know what's going to happen? Your brain is going to complain and you're going to feel uncomfortable. And most of us don't know how to manage our emotions. We don't know how to manage our brains. So we feel exceptionally uncomfortable. We don't like how it feels. And you know what it's easier to do? Eat, because eating that pizza silences that feeling. So when you understand that positive consequence, meaning the walks and the eating salads, and it's that subtle hit. And when you can understand that in order to get to that phase, there's going to be discomfort, and it is just an emotion, and you will be fine. That discomfort cannot hurt you when you become courageous and brave enough to stand for yourself and for your dreams and face into that discomfort and be like, I feel really uncomfortable right now. That shows up for me as tightness in my stomach. I get antsy. And I get it's almost like anxious feeling. When I get that feeling, I know it passes. And I always like to think of that discomfort as like getting a cold. I've had a cold all week this week. But you know what I didn't do? Go, I don't want a cold and protest. Because guess what happens? You go through it and you're fine and it's uncomfortable and I've been sneezing all week. But guess what? I go through it and I'm fine, and it does pass, and that's exactly what the discomfort is. So when you can remind yourself that it's just part of going through it, you can get past the desire for that immediate gratification, and then you start really getting the payoff in your life because you start trusting your decisions. You start knowing you're going to do what you say you're going to do. You're going to start reaching your goals. You're going to start feeling better. You're going to stop walking around feeling bloated all the time. You're going to be able to pull on your jeans in the morning and know they're going to fit. You're not going to have to keep going out there and trying to find clothes that make you feel good because you're not sticking to your goals. There are so many positive wins that come on the other end of that discomfort and seeking out things with a net positive pleasure. So I hope that has been helpful for you. I want you to leave a comment below, and I want you to share with me what one type of net positive pleasure that you love including in your life. Like for me, reading. I read in the morning and I read at night. I read nonfiction in the morning and fiction at night. And there is nothing better than that morning coffee and a book for me. that is wonderful. I get a subtle hit of pleasure in the morning and there's no negative consequence to it. That, to me, is well-being and the lifestyle that I want to live. So I want you to leave yours in the comment. And if you are getting results from these videos that I'm sharing each week and you're experiencing transformation in your life, but you want some help taking it to the next level, I want you to send me a message and let me know that you need a little bit of infusion of motivation and direction, because my job is to take you by the hand, hold you accountable, and tell you exactly what needs to be done in what order to get the transformation you're looking for. I work with women to help them lose their last 10 pounds, to declutter their diet, and put a meal planning system on autopilot so that they can experience that wellness and that pleasure that I've been telling you about. I am so honored that you've stayed here and that you've watched this video. Thank you for taking the time, and I will talk to you next week. So don't forget, if you want to jump on a one-on-one call and chat with me about what working together would look like, direct message me and let me know you're in, and we'll set something up. I'll talk soon. Bye.